Smart 24, driving business.
Very good morning to you today, the 12th of June. Want to attack particular day. So be positive minded and let us go through this day. Coming up, we have quite a lot of national news as well as international news. We're going to be having quite an undertone for the topic today. Is going to be looking at budget review as well as key highlights. We'll be looking at the primary focus areas, and then we'll dive in a little bit into the budget support for SMEs. We want to find out how does this trickle down, what is the implication in layman language, person on the ground get to benefit. There is so much more coming in. We'll get into some of the different financial turmoils that Kenya is going through, but also what is the strategy behind some of its reforms, and who are they partnering with? Because we get to see a couple of things happening. When it comes to international news, please expect quite a lot coming in. There's a little bit of challenges that Chinese mining companies are running into, a little bit of trouble. We'll give you much more in our SMB international news. But for now, I would want to say a lovely how are you to Mercy, my colleague. How is the day going so far?
Well, it's just the morning, and we really hope the day will go well.
Yes.
For us, we've already started. We've already started our day.
Yeah.
So it's out there. Make sure just by 8, by 9, you're already set pace to start your day. Well, we're going to be looking at the priorities, and of course looking at last year. Now the question is, now from 52.7 trillion now to
72 trillion. Yes.
What increment? Why is the budget now
widening and hiding? I think a lot is it's bound to happen. You know, remember we talked about at the beginning of this week that just a little bit of a hint was given from the population guys that the population had increased. So it's only expected definitely that there's going to be quite a lot of demand for public goods and services, and the government definitely has to put it in plan. It's the context is that really the population is increasing, the resources are dwindling down. We've got quite a lot of upheaval as well when it comes to the donor aid as well is getting a little bit shallower. So that is why there's an outcry. URA right now is on literally on its tenterhooks, trying to figure out how to get those revenues coming in and how to widen the tax base. There is quite a lot that is happening. But when it comes down to the key highlights, remember under NDP 2, the National Development Plan 2, it was more or less looking at the industrialization aspect. This is a continuation as well, and support. A lot of the highlight is being put on full monetization of the Ugandan economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, and of course without missing digital transformation. But the reality about it is that the goal this time is improvement of household incomes as well as the improvement of quality of life of Ugandans. That is the bottom line, and it hasn't changed much from the NDP 2. This is NDP 3 that is being enacted. Remember, it is the third of 6 series, and we are already halfway. Now, the challenge about it, of course, when it comes down, is that this moved away. Uganda moved away in and I believe 2020, it transitioned away from sector budgeting, but right now it's fixated. It is really looking at program-based budgeting, and that's why you get to see a number of programs that are running right now concurrently, and the reality about it is that these programs are not really in isolation, but they're meant to basically be aligned down to operationalizing the National Development Plan. So we had quite a number from from the last budget reading of the last financial year. We got to see that the bulk, actually the sector, as had been the norm throughout, had not really necessarily gone to agriculture, to the agriculture sector. Remember, we will be talking about this, we will be giving you hints, because it has moved away from sector and now it is program-based budgeting. But the reality about it is that you had quite a number of voices coming in, critiques coming in, and saying that even though there are particular programs that are coming in for wealth creation, they are still, as a move off, as a transition from National Development Plan 2, you have the fact that Ugandans are still largely agriculturalists. You have also the fact that quite a lot of them are not able to move on and get quite a lot of money, and you have quite a lot of concerns in regards that if at all the monies do not actually go to particular agriculture programs or this or that under agriculture, there's going to be quite a lot of problems coming in from Uganda. But you mentioned something about value addition earlier on in this week, Mercy, and you had something about the President's facility. What do you think, where is your mind going, especially in regards to some of the foods that you love to eat? What would you want to see where value addition would make such an impact on the lives of Ugandans?
Well, of course, it's for value addition, it will start with the mindset of a farmer.
Yeah.
You know, how best you want to get more money. You know, if you want to get more money, then you have to up your game, first of all.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that your produce is
clean and dried, all that post-handling.
Right, yeah. There is no such thing as middlemen.
Yeah.
You know the person, the end user, not the end user, but the person that your customer, that you're supplying. Okay, that's you supplying your produce to. Yeah. And of course, from the cleaning, from the harvest,
sorting and everything.
Make sure that you're fully, if it's coffee, let it be dried, let it be clean, no stones, no mixtures.
I think there's been quite a lot of improvement in regards to coffee. Remember, they used to put the coffee down, you know, chicken, the chicken are moving all over the place, pooping on the coffee, but things have changed. At least the majority of the farmers know that if the quality of their coffee is not really good, they're going to, no one will take it.
Even
no one will take
the
it.
beans, the maize, that is why, you know, they say our maize is substandard, because I mean, people just harvest and that's it. You know, they give to the person, then it's a process. By the time it reaches the final consumer, really, there's been an exhaustion, and that means the prices go high. So you start, you as a farmer, what strategies have you laid in place so that once you've been having a kilo at 3,000, for your case, you'll be like, you know what? Mine is at 5,000. Why? Because I did A, B, C, and D.
Do you know that right now not every farmer can actually know really on the ways in which they can, for example, when it comes to maize, reduce the aflatoxins in the maize? Yes, they know that right now I have 8 bags of maize to dry, and there is no way that I'm going to go looking for a net. That's number one, to be able to put the post here and the post here, so that basically when I'm drying the maize, that will go down on the ground. Well, what do you think? Who is to blame? Is it the agriculture extension workers from the districts? Who is to blame for not being able to pass down this information? And when you say the mindset change for the farmer, really, when I get to say the mindset change, the reality is the extension farmer will say either you do it that way, get the net so that you can dry properly, or get the tundubalis, those plastic sheetings to be able to put on. And the farmer say, I hardly even have anything to eat. You think I'm going to get another 300,000 to buy the plastic sheeting?
That is why I will emphasize agriculture is not, you have to invest in agriculture. You really have to invest. It's not a matter of having land and just drop in your 2 seeds and that's it. No, you have to invest in agriculture, knowing that there are going to be returns in your investment. If you invested in 20 million, there has to be a profit of maybe 10 to 20 million. So now people are investing even if it's your ancestral land, you have to invest, you have to buy the seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to look for people to weed or do something. You have to really invest. By the time you finish the product and it's ready for market, that's money.
Now, according to the last reviews, really, of what has been happening, the site has been, especially when it comes in from the president, the critique or the emphasis has been on the fact that, you know what, I think our farmers are in such a good place. I think they're able to really have access to quality seeds. I think they're able to really get a bumper harvest. The problem now is, can we move on to the next phase? Can we move on to industrialization? Can we move on to value addition? The emphasis is now on the step B. And like he said, Uganda is no longer really completely subsistence aligned. It's no longer. We have to move on by all means and move on to the next stage. Now, whether or not the capacities down on ground are able to cushion and enable this transition is where the problem is. Because when you look at some of the programs that have been there, for example, PDM, they had to go back down to the grassroots, to the local placement, the local format, and begin hiring the necessary personnel, the parish chiefs. There was a countrywide recruitment of parish chiefs. So is that just going to be another cost implication on the government, or this is something that is meant to go the whole 9 yards? Because when you get to look at critiquing in the essence that really the budget is more or less aligned to the NDPs, there are parts and programs of NDP too that have not even, not only just because of lack of the data, the statistics and all that, but the fact that there are some programs that haven't even yet been achieved. Yes, some particular goals. Now we are already halfway through NDP 3, the National Development Plan 3, and we are wondering whether you won't have us move into NDP 4 when we still have a backlog of some of these, and the definite implication for that. So this is going to be the undertone of our topic. We're going to be critiquing and giving the accolades where they are due all throughout this particular conversation on smart means business. But for now, let's take a short break, and then we'll be looking at what is in the press for you.
Okay.
Coming in from the New Vision, we've got some news coming in, and still there's quite a little bit of uproar and a little bit of discomfort. Why police searched MPs' homes and where the problem is coming from. We also get to see a little bit of a State House skilling projects is non-partisan. There has been quite a lot of efforts coming in from the State House looking at skilling boys and girls, and it's beginning to turn off. You've had quite a number of graduations throughout, and you've also had some success stories coming in, especially for the welders, for those in catering, for those that have benefited, coming up in design, coming up with different enterprises. Now, where the revenue, the URA is coming in, of course, as well as the Registration Bureau, is can we have you formalized so that you can begin to contribute to domestic revenue. But she added that 331 boys and 331 girls and 73 boys are ready to sit for their final exams. This was the State House Comptroller Jane Bareche, who has clarified that the presidential initiative on skilling the girl and the boy child project is non-partisan and is meant to benefit all needy Ugandans in Kampala. And we also have, of course, the Speaker Amon coming in to reaffirm that I will guard my seat jealously. Remember, she's been in the news, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons in the last couple of weeks. But all is not gloom. She had a name mentioned in positive light by, on Heroes Day, and I believe that the light is going brighter and brighter than it was. And some news also coming in inside the 644 billion allocated to agriculture, just as we have been mentioning within our topic today. These are some of the concerns coming in, especially given that agriculture is still the backbone of Uganda's economy and employs more than 70% of the citizens. But we also have reductions to the sector of funding, budgetary allocations, and there is a lot of concern in regarding to whether this will enable this particular sector thrive. Much more coming in on that part. New law on Bibanja holders, landlords pay in offing. Some news coming in. Between the lines, the Lands Ministry has received and continues to receive numerous complaints from tenants whose landlords deliberately refuse to receive busulu so that they can eventually evict them. Unfortunate news coming in. There is quite a lot of hocus pocus on that, but let's get our new vision and find out what is being said. Lastly, UK investors to inject 38 billion into Uganda. Yesterday we had a talk about different investors, Mercy. We also had the day before Monday, I believe the Saudi prince coming in as well. We've got investors really looking at Uganda, but also intentional luring and calling in investors not only with just the tax incentives that are being offered. Sometimes these incentives are being offered and the domestic entrepreneurs here down, the businessmen are not happy about it because they feel there's a lot of discrepancy and a lot of favoritism going on to lure investors, but at the expense of the budding entrepreneurs here. But there is all reason to lower, just like has been said before, there is all reason to lower investors so as to increase the foreign direct investment and its trickle down to the quality of life of Ugandans. What is inside the national the monitor?
Well, our very own once a journalist and of course now into either the ventures as UN experts link Uganda and Andrew Mwenda to M23 rebels. Yeah, and of course he's in great danger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you imagine we had this talk yesterday, Mercy? Yes, we had this, not necessarily in that light, but we had this particular talk about the investors, especially the Chinese, coming in and sometimes looking at, I don't care what is happening in this environment, what I'm here to do is, yes, we had this exact talk. It's important, I think, to have a sneak peek and find out what is being said.
About Mwenda's case?
No.
Oh, okay.
We will
and of
dive
course,
into
how detectives raided detained MPs' homes, and of course they were investigating, looking into how, because they were culprits of corruption. Definitely, I mean, why would you keep your documents in your very house if you know that you were Ugandans? And of course, MPs are tampering with the budget. That is the permanent secretary of the Minister of Finance, and of course, given the corruption scandals that were here, Uganda is fun. Well, still here, know your budget. I really love this, and of course, this theme of this year's theme is going to be on full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercial culture. Which that question actually, when I looked at that question, will the 644 billion, what will it do for agriculture? Given the fact, the first thing we're prioritizing here, it's just, I felt like we need like $1 trillion, two.
Yeah. Yes, and these are things that we were talking about, some of the concerns. You had the key stakeholders from the ministry coming up and saying it's ridiculous. And now that it is program-based budgeting, you've got quite a number, for example, when it comes down to infrastructure being channeled in regards to irrigation. This is under Ministry of Water. And they are saying that this is supposed to trickle back. If the Ministry of Water is able to implement some of these programs and carry them out successfully, then it's supposed to trickle back to the Ministry of Agriculture to enable farmers tap into this. We have to find out if that will be able to do so.
And of course, I do agree market access. For those that are starting up, they need really market for their products and whatever they're innovating and the likes, industrialization. But then agriculture being the main focus, really should be given a big share. Because with agriculture, you can attract tourists. People do come for agriculture tourism. You know, it's a thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the more
agritourism
is big. I mean, who wouldn't want to see the different varieties that we have of rare crops?
Yes.
You know, the greens that are all over the place and untouched. Every day we pass by, people irrigate them.
But among some of the areas really that have a lot of potential, and this was from the finance official coming in, talking about tourism. Tourism has still been highlighted as one of the budding areas that really need to be tapped into, because there is huge potential there, and of course a couple of other things, areas within Uganda. But the fact is that a lot of emphasis has been put on just not necessarily looking at the national parks as the avenue for tourism, but you have tourism that is huge. You've got the aspect about cultural tourism and wonderful places opening up and really attracting, and not only just attracting but setting the trend, really trendsetters, getting out into the regions, into other countries such as Kenya and Tanzania, that are picking a leaf from cultural tourism in Uganda. We had Rwanda doing quite well in regards to cultural tourism, showcasing their tourism to the most, to the zenith. It has done so well, and now it's tapped into the gorillas. It's got, I think Rwanda has one of the best marketing strategies really in the region at the moment. And you've had quite a number of stakeholders in Uganda look at it as a benchmark and say, you know what, I think we should pull up our socks.
I mean,
you've had them say that.
You know, the gorillas that Rwanda has and the ones Uganda. I mean, Rwanda has just a handful.
It is ridiculous.
The way they really market, my goodness.
From really naming and having all these different stakeholders come in and actually pay huge amounts to name the gorillas. And yet when you look at Uganda, you get to see that we have the bulk of these gorillas. We have the bulk of these gorillas, and there is still quite a lot that should be done. And so much more, really. Because when you look at what the neighboring countries are doing, okay, just leave alone Kenya, that has reaped so much and has a great infrastructure, as well as Tanzania, that has these awesome places. But we do get to see that. I think the challenge and the concern when it comes to tourism in Uganda has been the very disjointed efforts. There's been very little coordination. If someone comes in and really plugs in Uganda, what should be the first thing they should see? And you get to see quite a number of different spaces, comparisons really. You have critiques coming in and saying, when you come in from the national airport from Entebbe, you should be able immediately to see, as you should get overwhelmed literally from the different things, the wonderful things that any person jetting into Uganda should be able to have this variety, a buffet of where to go and how to reach and what is beautiful about Uganda. But I think the tourism board has also done something. We're not as far back as we were, but there's still quite a lot to be done. Yes.
And of course, here finally looking at how, you know, someone giving tips on how entrepreneurs should save those that have struggling businesses.
I would love to find out, Mercy. Just give us a hint about some of these, because this is driving business. Smart 24.
One businessman who also trades in real estate said that Ugandans will rush to open big factories and large businesses when they have never traded before anything. That's the thing I was saying about Ugandans. You know, you just wake up and like, you know what, I get the money. Let me do this. But you've not made your research first of all. You do not know anything about business. It's not gonna last.
Which other reason is there?
And of course, I'm looking here. He further said that business growth is like education, which starts from kindergarten, grows to primary, then secondary, and on to
But others want to immediately jump.
You want the money there and then.
So is it in the context of Uganda as a bold? Uganda was highlighted as the most entrepreneurial country, really.
It is.
Most entrepreneurial. Is it because we are bold, but is it from the side of courage, of boldness of Ugandans, or it is the fact that we are so badly off, we are looking for the second business?
Now that's the only solution that someone can think of when maybe they are home, jobless. They're like, let me try a business, I think. You know, you do not know.
To survive?
Yes.
Yeah, to survive.
But you know, it's mostly for women.
Yeah.
You know, when they have, broken families and the like, that's the only thing that comes in their mind. Let me set up something
to add. Even if they're still in their families, you know, without broken families, you still need an extra income because what is coming in is too little. So sometimes this entrepreneurial spirit of Ugandans, I believe, should be dissected further down to find out, is it because we have that oomph for business as Ugandans, just as we've had the Kenyans highlighted for being very aggressive marketeers, aggressive businessmen. Do we as Ugandans have this entrepreneurial spirit coming in from
I totally
from courage and boldness, or it is from desperation and knowing that you have to have something on the side in order to survive?
Desperation, because if you're to make a study, you find that a majority of Ugandans did not want to do business, but because of the situation, they're not like interested. Like you find a person like, oh, I want to do business, my thing. No, you'll be like, Mbela. And then I started up a shop. Yeah. You'd be like, no, since I have money, let me set up a salon. You don't know anything about plating or what, and just
these are things that we continue. These particular themes for entrepreneurship in Uganda are some of the aspects that we continue to talk about on Smart Means Business, as well as different programs under Smart 24 TV. Whether it comes in from is it copy and paste? How have you started? Some of the majority of our programs get to look at the nitty-gritties of the business person, the entrepreneur in Uganda, from the lower, from micro to small and medium, and grow up really to look at some of this. So it's great to be able to have a face for some of this. But whereas we are getting into this, please evaluate yourself as well and find out what was the rationale for getting into business, and let us know. Get onto our social media handles and let us know why you got into business. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back and dive straight into Karibu, East Africa. See you after the break.